You have to do something big and important, or nobody will remember you when you're dead.
What's the word, YouTube fam? You are now tuning into Wait a Minute TV with your host, Jay Wade. And oh man, bro, I just got in from watching Magazine Dreams starring Jonathan Majors. And bro, I don't even know where to begin with this movie. This movie was different to say the least. It was dark, disturbing, and at certain points in time, it had me literally on the edge of my seat. With themes of acceptance, accountability, to themes of racism and mental health and how there's history of it in one's family, I believe this was like a very tough watch. With that being said, I think that this movie was very intriguing. Magazine Dreams is a movie about an amateur bodybuilder by the name of Killian Maddox, who battles with both the limits of his physical body and his own inner demons to gain recognition. Killian is consumed by his dream of becoming a world-famous bodybuilder and one day gracing the cover of fitness magazines. He lives a very lonely, regimented life, and his relentless drive for perfection only pushes him deeper towards self-destruction. But beneath his tenacious pursuit of superstardom lies a desperate, aching need for human connection. As he battles both the limits of his physical body and his own inner demons, Magazine Dreams explores the length one man will go in his haunting quest for recognition in a world that has often overlooked him. Going into this movie, I didn't know what to expect. But the more the movie progressed, the more I realized that this man, Killian, is off, right? And you learn throughout the movie why. You learn that he is literally trying to become the best of the best in what he does, which is bodybuilding. And I will say that this movie started off as like a movie about a man who is trying to be the best, but it ends up coming off to me as like a horror movie, a very suspenseful horror movie at that. I think Jonathan Majors should definitely win some form of award, if not an Oscar, for this performance, because my God, he time and time again keeps you locked in to his performance. I damn near forgot that this was Jonathan Majors I was watching when I watched this movie. His acting was phenomenal. The way he portrayed certain parts of the movie, as far as battling with his inner demons versus him being in awkward situations with other people that were around him. At one point in time, there's a girl that he likes that they end up going on a date, and I'm not going to give too much away about it, but that scene, the date scene that they had, was extremely telling about what this movie was all about, especially with his mental illness. I want to say that Jonathan Majors probably was perfect for this role, because I could see that there were a lot of parallels between the character Killian that he played and his real life circumstance, which we all know he went through the court battle and that whole spiel and came out somewhat different. I'll just say that. But there were a lot of parallels between his character in the movie and his real life. And once you watch the movie, you'll understand what I'm talking about. But overall, I don't even know if I want to call this movie good or bad. It was different. Like, intriguing. That's the only word that comes to mind, because the feeling I had leaving out of the theater was, bro, like, what did I just watch? Especially with how many themes were thrown at me in one movie. You see Killian dealing with his mental illness and how it hinders him in situations, and how that hindrance keeps him from, for a long time, taking a lot of accountability for his own actions. And I believe that that was the central part of this film, was him coming to grips with being able to take accountability for his own actions, and looking at the world in one way, as the world is, it's him versus the world, versus it in reality probably being him versus him, and the journey he takes throughout to come to that realization. There were a few undertones of racism, and definitely with him being a black man of his size living in America, specifically where they were, which is Los Angeles, which has a history of racism, to say the least. 1992 Rodney King is all I'm going to say. And I think that this movie was to address some of those themes as far as racism is concerned that we have visited so much in the past. I think that the driving force, which was Killian wanting to be accepted, is what shaped his initial view of the world and made him feel like it was him versus the world. And I think once he realized what it took to be accepted, made him ultimately change his view of the world. I found myself relating to a lot of the struggles that Killian had throughout this movie, especially with me being a black man in America. I think this movie was a well-needed commentary on the state of the world that we live in today, more specifically, how we live here in America. This movie was shot amazingly. This movie was intense. Again, there were certain scenes that were very horror-esque, and I am a big fan of horror movies, and you feel that throughout the entire film. I'd implore everybody who's a fan of movies to give this a watch because of just how intense it was. These are my initial thoughts on the movie. It's a lot to break down and go into. I'm thinking about doing a spoiler review, but for now, I'm going to leave you all with this. If you like this content, please like, share, and subscribe. And until next time, YouTube fam, I'm out.